Hi guys, so this module is all about nutrition for muscle building. So lean muscle mass plays a really important role in keeping us healthy with a range of functions from strength to metabolic control. So whether you're trying to build muscles to enhance your physique, improve sporting performance, or maintain muscle mass in an energy deficit, the topics covered in this masterclass should have you covered. So I'm going to go through some key topics of muscle protein turnover, protein intake, so timing, type and total, carbohydrates, energy requirements and supplements. So in your body there's a process called muscle protein turnover, and this is two processes, muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown, and these two things are going on continuously throughout your body. But when periods of muscle protein synthesis exceed muscle protein breakdown, you'll end up gaining muscle. On the flip side, if your muscle protein breakdown exceeds muscle protein synthesis, there'll be a net loss of muscle. So the chart on the screen, this is in a situation where the person will be maintaining their muscle mass. Muscle protein synthesis rates equate to muscle protein breakdown rates. So in order to increase muscle protein synthesis, you need a stimulus. And with this being a nutrition topic, this is going to include eating a meal with high in protein. And so regardless of how much protein that you eat, protein synthesis rates will drop after around about 3 to 4 hours, regardless of how much you had in a single feed. And so in order to optimise muscle protein synthesis, you should look to consume protein every 3 to 4 hours, as this will give a regular spike in muscle protein synthesis and avoid any long periods where breakdowns exceeding synthesis. So when it comes to protein total, the optimal amount for muscle protein synthesis in a single dose will be around about 20 grams or 0.4 grams per kilogram, and this will be enough to raise muscle protein synthesis rates at a maximal rate. And over the course of a day, the optimal intake will be 1.6 grams per kilogram a day. But for those in an energy deficit and trying to preserve muscle or even build muscle, which is quite difficult to do, this would need to be increased to around about 2 grams per kilogram a day or even higher. Evidence shows that it's safe to consume around about 3.5 grams per kilogram in healthy individuals. When it comes to protein type, not all proteins are the same. Protein sources all have a different amount of amino acids. And animal sources tend to have more essential amino acids than plant sources. So if you can see here in the chart on the right hand side, good protein sources will be whey, egg, pork, beef, cod, chicken. These all have a really high essential amino acid profile. On the flip side, plant sources, you can see here that these have a little bit of a lower protein source or percentage of amino acids. So moving on from protein, how many carbohydrates do you need? Well, carbohydrates will help you increase your energy intake for one. It's important to understand that muscle building is an energy dependent process and you need more than just protein intake to increase your energy. Resistance training is also reliant on carbohydrates as a fuel source. So in your body, your carbohydrates are stored as glycogen. And evidence shows that heavy resistance training at high intensity can reduce glycogen levels by up to 40%. So for recovery, carbohydrates post-workout will enable you to restore your glycogen levels, which will allow you to train at the same intensity for your next session. This is particularly important if you've got a high training schedule, so if you're training 5-6 times a week or even twice daily, getting your carbohydrates in post-workout will help you recover in a way that will mean you can train at the same intensity next time round. And so to give a bit of perspective of how many carbs you need, for light activity, a carbohydrate intake will be around about 1 to 4 grams per kilogram a day. For moderate activity, 5 to 7 grams per kilogram a day. And for high levels of activity, so when you get into really high intensity workouts or you're training twice a day, 6 to 10 grams per kilogram would be a good optimal level. And so energy requirements, so how many calories do you need? So as mentioned, building muscle is an energy dependent process. And textbook guidelines recommend a small to moderate calorie surplus of 250 to 450 calories. This kind of evidence emergence suggests that you may not necessarily need to be in an energy surplus, but to give yourself the best chance, and if you find it particularly difficult to build muscle, I would aim at getting into a surplus. So moving on to supplements, which of these are worthwhile? And despite a big supplement industry offering marketed to improve muscle building, there's very few that actually have much of an evidence backing. But the ones that have, I'm going to discuss now. So whey protein, the reason why this is such a good seller and such a good supplement for building muscle is that whey protein is a type of protein that has a high essential amino acid profile and it has a fast digestion rate, meaning it will spike muscle protein synthesis up quickly and well. And it's also convenient, so if you're finished your training and need to get that kind of protein feed in, then having a protein source with a high amino acid profile is going to be really beneficial. And casein protein, like whey protein, it has a good amino acid profile. Because of the type of protein, it has a slow digestion rate, and this will potentially reduce the amount of muscle protein breakdown. And there's evidence that shows casein pre-bred can be quite a good way to preserve lean muscle mass and even increase the amount of muscle mass that you build. Creatine would also be a really important supplement if you're trying to build muscle. Phosphocreatine is a source of energy during high intensity weightlifting exercises. So the increasing the amount of phosphocreatine you have stored will potentially allow you to get more reps out in a set and more sets and better recovery between sets. And this in time may lead to more long-term increased gains. And the last one I would say that has a bit of an effect on building muscle will be branched chain amino acids, as these will help to rescue a protein source low in essential amino acids. So this is particularly important for vegetarians and vegans who may be eating more plant sources that don't have the same essential amino acid profile as animal-based sources or dairy sources. But if you're eating enough animal source protein or high quality essential amino acid protein, adding extra branched chain amino acids probably isn't going to do an awful lot for you. This will be more a case of rescuing protein source low in it.